I know it's your all's 10-year anniversary time, and it's exciting, right? 10 years?
Yeah, 10.
That's awesome. A lot of people don't get there nowadays, you know, so that is a blessing, and shows true commitment from you guys. And again, thank you all for letting me participate. So obviously this isn't your first rodeo. You've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. And not only that, but you all have experienced what marriage is. You all have experienced waking up each day and doing life together. And you've experienced the good times, the bad times, the joys, the blessings. You've experienced children, and which I know how much a blessing our kids are to us, for sure. And I'm sure that you all figured it out in your 10 years that marriage, it's not a sprint.
No.
It's a marathon. You know, it's a day in and a day out. You guys renew your vows really every day, if you think about it.
Yeah, just be together.
That's right. That's right. You renew them each and every day, and that's what we have to do. Otherwise, there's days that we can take off and take a vacation from loving each other, or take a vacation from taking care of each other and spending time with each other, and that's not what God calls us to do. It's everyday commitment. But this is, you know, a symbolic opportunity, again, to renew your vows and to share with each other what you all already know.
Right.
And one of the things that I love about the story, the true story of creation and God creating the world and everything in it. I mean, He creates, you know, the sky, the lands, the seas, plants, trees, animals. You know, He creates Adam and Eve. He creates moon and creatures and all kinds of stuff, and creates man and breathes life into him. But the part that I love is when God recognizes that up to that point, everything is good, everything is great. And He says that it is good, it is good, it is good, and then gets to a point to where He says, it is not good for man to be alone. He knew that. Okay, now I don't think it was something that He just figured out. He knew that it wasn't good for man to be alone. He wanted us to know that, and that's why it's in His Word. And that's why He created woman. And He took Adam and He put him to sleep and took a rib from him and made woman. And the part that I love about the story is when it is time for God to show man woman. It is time for, I could imagine the excitement.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think about it. We're made in the image of God. We get excited about things. We get emotional about things. And imagine His excitement, His emotion, His joy, and being filled with love at the time that He's going to reveal what He has just created for man.
Yeah.
Imagine 10 years ago, and even prior to that, even not just when you all got married, but when you all were created, that He knew that you all were meant to be together. He knew that you all were going to be joined together.
Right.
And I can imagine His excitement 10 years ago when it was time to reveal the wedding day, the wedding ceremony. This is your bride, and how pumped and excited God was about that moment.
I believe that. I told her when we first met, I got sick. I started getting sick.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I knew, and I still look back to that day. I remember.
Yeah.
And I know that wasn't, just something happening,
Right, it's a big deal. So yeah, that stirs up anxiety in us,
Yeah.
and joy and love and all of those things, but sometimes anxiety can come with that as well. And Adam's response when he sees Eve is, at last,
Right.
bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, and he celebrates, and I know that you celebrated that 10 years ago. And this explains why you all left your moms and your dads, 10 years ago, to be joined together forever. So I'm going to have you respond. I will. Okay, I'm going to start with you, so that I'm going to say something, you respond, I will. All right, Gabriel, will you continue to have Mattalyn as your wife and continue to live in this marriage?
I will.
Do you reaffirm your love for her? And will you love, honor, and cherish her in sickness and in health, for richer or poor, for better or for worse, and forsaking all others, be faithful to her as long as you both shall live?
I will.
Okay, Mattalyn, it's your turn. All right. And you can look at him while I'm reading this. So, Mattalyn, will you continue to have Gabriel as your husband and continue to live in this marriage?
I will.
Do you reaffirm your love for him? And will you love, honor, and cherish him in sickness and in health, for richer or poor, for better or for worse, and forsaking all others, be faithful to him as long as you both shall live?
I will.
Very good. In the book of 1 Corinthians, Paul is writing to the church, and one of the things that he is talking about is we got to watch out for our lip service and just saying things with our words. We gotta show. We gotta show with our actions what our hearts already know. And he talks about love. And you all probably are familiar with this very popular, very famous scripture that's oftentimes read at weddings. And I'm going to share that with you, talking about love. It says, love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no records of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. Now, I love what God says about love. And if you ever want to do a self-check and see if you're doing it right, if you're loving right, whether it's in marriage or a relationship with our kids, take the word love out of that scripture and insert your name, and see if that shows, if that represents how you're living. And I'll just do that real quick. So it would sound something like this. Gabriel and Mattalyn are patient and kind. Gabriel and Mattalyn are not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. They do not demand their own way. They are not irritable. They keep no records of being wronged. They do not rejoice about injustice, but rejoice whenever the truth wins out. Gabriel and Mattalyn never give up, never lose faith, are always hopeful, and endure through every circumstance. And you all have been doing that since you've been together. So 10 years ago, you guys exchanged rings, and rings are, again, a representation of our commitment, kind of like a flag. Our American flag represents freedom. Your wedding rings are a hunk of metal in reality, or jewelry, but when you exchange them, when you all exchanged them 10 years ago, it totally changed everything from a symbolic standpoint. So what I'm going to have you all do is join left hands. So your all's ring hands, I'm going to have you all join together. And what I'm going to have you all do in this point is just repeat after me. And you all can, or you're not going to, yes, you're going to repeat after me, but you all can look at each other, okay?
Okay.
And we're going to start, Gabriel, with your hand kind of on top so that the ring can be seen. All right, so again, you're just going to repeat after me. Mattalyn, I wear this ring placed on my hand
Mattalyn, I wear this ring placed on my hand
as a symbol of my love and commitment to you.
as a symbol of my love and commitment to you.
Okay. Now I'm going to have y'all just kind of rotate your hands to where yours is on top now. And then Mattalyn, I'm going to have you repeat after me. Gabriel, I wear this ring you placed on my hand
Gabriel, I wear this ring you placed on my hand
as a symbol of my love and commitment to you.
as a symbol of my love and commitment to you.
All right. Now you all can just join hands however you all feel comfortable, whatever feels comfortable to you guys. And you're all still facing each other. We're not quite done yet. I do want to just give you some advice as we start to bring this to a close, okay? First and foremost, make God first. Always. Make God first. When you do that, when you are on this spiritual journey together, when you personally are trying to draw close to God, but you are also doing that together, it is like a marriage on steroids, okay? Can you all have a successful marriage on your own? Can you all do well each and every day? You can't. I'm not going to say you can't. But when you do it with a relationship with God, it is a game changer. So remember to make God first. Let your love be stronger than your anger. Learn the wisdom of compromise. It's not always about being right, okay? Remember the wisdom of compromise. Believe the best of your beloved rather than the worst. Confide in each other and ask for help when you need it. Remember that true friendship is the basis of any lasting relationship. Give your spouse the same courtesy and kindness that you'll give to your friends or sometimes even a stranger. Say, I love you every day, multiple times. So I do want to bring this to a close. And today you've renewed your vows. You renewed your promises. You've shared with each other what your heart already knows, what your heart knew 10 years ago even. And you have symbolized the renewal of your vows by holding hands, by renewing your vows before God, and also by the wearing of your wedding rings. It is with pleasure that I conclude this time together with your awesome children as witnesses. And, what God has joined together may no one ever separate. So now you have an opportunity to celebrate or to commemorate this time by the sharing of a kiss. Awesome. Again, thank you guys for letting me be a part of it.
Yeah, it was nice
And
meeting you too.
yeah, it's a pleasure.